We live. What up, bro?
What up, though?
This is the Hope Medicines podcast. I believe it's episode 8. Uh, with my homie D. My homie D back in here. You know,
What
real,
up?
real recognized real. You know, needed him to drop some more gems.
Make sure I cut this down so I can share this. What's going on? What's going on?
All right. First off, how you been?
I can't complain, man. Pandemic prospering, I guess.
Man, man. I feel like during this time, you just got to be like witty,
Yeah,
like to really have your business stay afloat or get prosper, you got to be witty with it because you can't really do it traditional no more.
yeah. Yeah. So I think it just depends on what business you in.
Facts.
Um, like mine's is it's not bad. It's not a bad business to be in because a lot of people are in the process of becoming entrepreneurs and needing the services I provide and stuff like that. So um just trying to build their brands and stuff like that. So it's not a bad time to be in the media industry,
Facts. Actually, media
stuff like that. Not a bad time to be in it at all.
media stuff is really prospering actually right now. Like podcasts and photos and
Yeah,
videos and all that. That's
yeah,
like really prospering during this time.
yeah.
But shout yourself out. Shout out your business. You know.
Oh, so Swiss Photography, SWYS Photography, um, multifaceted photographer, um, portraits, events, weddings, um, children, stuff like that. Also got to shout out the gang, Shot by Chop, uh, um, My Legacy Photos. They all part of the team. Um, and shout out everybody else behind the scenes. We working, man. We working. So we actually just opened up a studio on the east side of the city, 11 Mile and Shaner. And just getting going. You know what I'm saying? Like just getting going. So if y'all need some quality photos done, come holler at us.
Facts.
Um, I guess I should get my tag to her. Swiss_photography on Instagram and Swiss photos on Facebook. All that good stuff. But
And
yeah,
if you watching, make sure you share. You know,
yes,
because we got some stuff to talk about. We got some stuff to talk about.
yes, sir. I look
Uh,
crazy on here. look like I've been at home.
uh, all right, so let's get to it. The topic of today is the disrespect of women in our society. Um, I was in a car and God just placed this on my heart, to speak about it, because first of all, I got a daughter that is pretty much almost here,
Right, right.
be here in the end of January. And then also it's just something that continues to go on, you hear all through music, through Instagram, Facebook. You just hear it everywhere. And then you also see women who now have low self-esteem or choose to go with what people said.
Right.
If they called her a B, then she feel like, okay, I'm a B,
Right.
and so what would you say, how you feel about that? um,
I'm never a fan of. I'm never a fan of disrespect. Um, to me though, I think the lines of disrespect are starting to be blurred. But I've never been a fan of disrespect in any shape, form, or facet. But yeah, to me the lines of disrespect are being blurred. Now because we had a point where some of the stuff that we used to deem disrespectful is now socially acceptable. Um, And that's just meaning that a lot of people, a lot, the popularity, the majority doesn't deem it as disrespectful anymore. So it starts to become a social norm. You know what I'm saying? Like it's normal to do stuff like, you know what I'm saying, disrespect women or objectify women or, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So it's a weird time to be in.
Facts. Also, if you got any comments, we live on Facebook. So if you got any comments, just drop them. We see you, Quita. Hey, what up? If you got any comments, drop it. We gonna try to answer your comments. But yeah, it's definitely crazy. It's definitely crazy to, I don't know, like, and the thing about me, like, I was one of those people that used to, rap and say this, oh, this girl be this, like, and demean women, and until I met Christ, got a relationship with Christ and changed my life around, that's when I realized that it was wrong. You feel me? Like before that, I'm not gonna say that I didn't realize it was wrong. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I guess, and then it was like in the hood, it's just normal. You feel me? Like that's what they talk about.
Right.
You talk about how much money you got, how many girls, like all this stuff, and I just went right along with it, not thinking of how it was affecting other people, how it was affecting women and things like that. Have you ever, like, when you did music beforehand, did you used to do that or feel like you used to do that?
No, well, so the crazy thing about me, even before I chose to live a life of, even before I chose to live a life with Christ. Crazy thing about it is that I was never the disrespectful type. I did use profanity, you know what I'm saying? Like I did cuss and stuff like that. If you heard me say, use B words and stuff like that, it was never direct, never directed towards anybody. It was more so just part of a rhyme scheme or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It was never like, oh, I'm just about to, disrespect some person in particular. My content and my subject matter always, was always more relative to current events, social issues, stuff like that. So I never had the issue of being disrespectful towards women. I did some things that might have been disrespectful towards women, but I was never just I don't know. I wouldn't disrespect. I just wouldn't disrespect women with my words. You know what I'm saying? More so actions were more not considered Christ-like. So, but yeah, I never disrespected women with my words. Not as an adult anyway. Maybe as a kid who didn't know no better. Middle school, stuff like that. Not even in high school. I really even didn't. You know what I'm saying? I was always respectful, gentleman type.
So, where would you say you got that from? Like, what made you want to be respectful to women?
To me, it was always, I respected my mama to the utmost. You know what I'm saying? Like, when my mama was tight, so I respected her to the utmost. And being around her, you know what I'm saying? Like it becomes this conditioning, you know what I'm saying? Like she didn't, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't a disrespectful person and she wasn't somebody worthy of being disrespected, you know what I'm saying? So spending so much time with her is like, that would make me a different person, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't use this type of language when I'm talking to my mama or stuff like that. So I'm not gonna go out in the streets and switch up, you know what I'm saying? I've never had the multiple personality type of thing, you know what I'm saying, or the double life type of thing. So the way you see me at the crib is the way I am when I'm in the streets, you know what I'm saying? I'm the same person.
Yeah, for me, I can't say the same. I don't know. I would say back in the day, I just, I kind of said whatever, and I didn't say certain things to my mom, of course not, you
Right.
know, but concerning women, um, I did say some things, but my thing, it more so was on tracks though. Like I wasn't just, hey, I wasn't just going off on women,
Yeah.
calling them certain things. But like when it came to like music, I say, and when it came to, I don't know, it's that saying, hurt people, So
Right.
I felt like I had a lot of pain, so I just kind of push it on women.
Right.
Do you think, where do you think uh basically the disrespect stems from, you know like
That's a good question. Um, I I definitely think it's 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 a generational thing. I mean, you conditioning, in my opinion. You 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 learn stuff by growing up around it, seeing it, being around it. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Um, and then that just becomes the way you are. You know what I'm saying? That becomes what you do on the regular. You emulate what you see. You know,
yeah,
like you reproduce what you see or what you're around or the environment you're in or whatever the case is, and you become a product of that environment. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just uh, repetition of learned behavior. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Good or bad, just a repetition of learned behavior.
And then I mean, even the fact of, I don't know, for when you don't see something like Pops went in, didn't have Pop, so you ain't basically, it's trial and error. You ain't
Yeah.
learn how to love a woman. You ain't learn how to have a relationship with a woman. you
Right.
know like basically you didn't see the male and the female together. You didn't see that, so you kind of just going with the flow. you know you seen, you know you had a relationship with your mom, but it's kind of different,
Right.
you know and I feel like for me that's where my issue stemmed, with me not knowing, oh, you actually supposed to do this,
Yeah. You weren't.
and
Yeah. You wasn't necessarily taught. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't something you was necessarily trained up. You know what I'm saying? Like majority, I would say 98% of the people I know, people I call friends, people I family, 98% of them probably did not see a successful relationship between the man and the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like successful as I know it now. They probably seen what they thought might have been successful. They probably seen what they considered a successful relationship or marriage or, you know what I'm saying, union, whatever the case is. But 98% of them didn't. It was always, you know what I'm saying, like they always seen some skewered version of what they thought love might have been, or what they, you know what I'm saying, what they thought a relationship might have been, what they thought respect might have been. I actually seen a I actually seen a meme the other day, and it was like a lot of people, a lot of women say they want, you know what I'm saying, that 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 50s 60s love, that type of love. And it said it showed a guy, you know what I'm saying, with the cigar and the little top hat, getting ready to sock his girl, you know what I'm saying, like, because they used to beat on their women back then. But a lot of people say they want that marriage or they want that relationship like their grandparents, not knowing that your grandma probably sat through a lot, you know what I'm saying, went through a lot
yeah,
to stick and stay. Probably wasn't happy majority of her relationship, but she did what she was taught to do, is, you know what I'm saying, be a homemaker and, you know what I'm saying, prepare meals and iron clothes and all the, you know what I'm saying, all the gender role woman stuff. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but some of that stuff, some of that stuff is outdated. Not, you know what I'm saying, like not being able to speak, not being able to, you know what I'm saying, talk when it's some of that stuff is outdated and quite frankly disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people say that's what they want, or, you know what I'm saying, that's, or ask why was your grandparents married for so long, and in reality, because she like 9 times out of 10, the grandmother was taught to just stick it out no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he out cheating. you gotta stick it out. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's just stuff like that. I'm like, that don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? But that, if you think about it, it stems from, you know what I'm saying, just women being disrespected for generations. You know what I'm saying? Like, or even certain stuff starting off as simple as a gender role, and
Yeah.
then falling, you know what I'm saying, falling into the disrespect category. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, if, you know what I'm saying, 60, 75 years ago, women were expected to stay home, not work, you know what I'm saying, like cook, clean, wash dishes, stuff like that. And the man comes home and something not done and he beating on her. You can see how that escalates to, you know what I'm saying, women disrespect. That was, women was already being objectified then. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a homemaker is not, it's not a problem with being a homemaker. But when you don't have a voice, you're not able to, you know what I'm saying, you're not able to speak your mind, not able to get your idea. You're a human being, you know what I'm saying? You're not able to get your ideas out, your creativity out. And all you expect to do is be pregnant, bear children, cook, clean, and mop floors. Then no, you're an object at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're only used for certain things. You're not used for the brain that you have. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not, none of that stuff is being put into play. You just there to clean. You a robot. You a maid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so that's, to me, that you can see how easily that can trickle down to what we have now. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the point where women are just they're objectified. Where a lot of women are not looked at for their competence or their intelligence or their ability to create or their create. You know what I'm saying? Or their whatever abilities or whatever gifts they have. Like, a lot of women are not looked at primarily for that. That may come up later on, but primarily a lot of women are looked at because of their bodies or because
Yeah.
of what they can provide sexually, or, you know what I'm saying, like how they, you know what I'm saying, just superficial stuff. You know what I'm saying, like just real superficial stuff. So you can see how easily it could trickle down to just being to women being disrespected to in the way that they are now.
Yeah. Just sound like a ongoing corrupted cycle,
Right.
which, the reason why I wanted to, speak on it, because in my search, I couldn't find a lot of videos or podcasts talking about this.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't find much of nothing, so it's like, I know it's like people don't really care, or, it's kind of like, all right, the normal, it's a normal thing happening. All right, and I felt like I did it at one point. So if anything, I should be able to, talk about it now and talk about the difference between how I was and how I am now.
Right.
And even when it came to that, there's a lot of things that I had to be like, all right, I remember when I first got saved, I had to be like, I had reached out to people, females, and I was like, I'm sorry for, whatever. And I'm not necessarily trying to connect with you again or anything like that. I just have to,
get it out there.
I just want to say sorry. I was a kid at the time, I was, and God had placed that on my heart just to do that, because I felt like I needed to do it so I could move forward in life. And just for me, from then to now, it's like totally different. I just learned the value, how important a woman was.
Right.
Coming from, society tell you not to, dog women, you don't need no woman, you don't need that. Like it try to isolate you, try to not have you be in a union,
Yeah. It's the most underhanded form of attack on just especially the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can teach you, or if I can put you in a position to disrupt the black family, you know what I'm saying, then y'all can't prosper. You know what I'm saying? So if I can get the dad out of the house, if I can get the male figure out of the home, you know what I'm saying, if I can force the female or the woman into independence, unhealthy independence. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say independence, but unhealthy independence, or what I'm saying, to make them believe that they do not have to, not necessarily not need, but don't want a man. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, or that any man that you have is gonna be it's gonna be a frivolous relationship. Then right there you stop. You create a generational you create a generational chain of dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because even if they do have babies, 9 times out of 10 the relationship is not going to work. So now you're going to raise a kid, boy or girl, up to think the same way, never to think about union, never to think about how powerful we can be as a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's so many different aspects to picking apart the black family. You know what I'm saying? Like, starting with the man. Um, I'm going to make it. And when I say I talk about the powers that be. I'm going to make it to where you can't get work. You know what I'm saying? Or you're caught up in the system, or what I'm saying, like, I'm going to make it to where it's hard for you to provide. When a man can't provide, he loses his identity. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to make it hard for you to provide, uh and that's going to create an identity crisis within the man. So he's going to spend his time trying to figure out who he is, rather it be, what I'm saying, in that time trying to figure out who he is, he's trying all different kind of stuff. So now you got somebody that's out in the streets trying to sell this, trying to sell that, just trying to do what he can to provide for himself or get the things that he wants or desires and needs. And so, and also in that process, I'm going to objectify the women. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it seem as if their value is superficial. You only need a woman for this. This is a woman is only good for this. She's only good for, what I'm saying, strip club or sex, or, what I'm saying, making or creating a child. She's only good for those things. She's not good for anything else. So you create that perception, and you put that perception in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now you got a bunch of young teenage, adolescent boys who are going to take this and run with it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because they don't have anybody telling them any better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't have nobody saying, no, that's not the case. So that's the only concept that they have. They're going to take that concept and run with it. So now, okay, now you from the age of 10, 12, whatever age we started watching BET, like from that age till your adult life, you've had this concept that women are only good for certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so now you've already disrupted the process of the union between a black man and a black woman. And now that's going to trickle down to whatever kids or whatever influence that's going to be the influence that they have on whoever is around them. So whatever kid, cousins, nieces, nephews that are watching those particular people, they're going to just grab the baton and carry on carry on the negative legacy. So
Yeah. Even the fact of there's also women, you know, who they see, like for instance, you got um women who have been conditioned, like males have been conditioned, you know,
that's
to objectify the woman, and then a woman now has been conditioned. Now she think that she see that she's an object, and she start to use it, you
right.
know. So now she is, for instance, you got Cardi B talking about WAP, you know,
Right.
and now she's trying to, in a sense, pimp that, you know,
Right.
because she realized, all right, if I'm seen this way, this can cause me to make money doing this. You know, if people see me like this, then, I can make this work for, you got women out here now selling their bodies
Facts.
because they realize, they have now been conditioned. So they like, all right, well, I'm gonna get the best out of this. I'm gonna make it work,
Yeah.
and now you got.
That's, to me, that's the one thing about black people is that the unique we have the unique ability to adapt
Mm-hmm.
to almost any and every situation. Sometimes for the good, sometimes not so good. And so that's all that to me that's all that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, well, we can't what's easier, to stop men from objectifying women or to take advantage of the objectification? It's easier for you to take advantage of the objectification. That's like even with the word nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's easier, to stop people from calling us niggas, or turn the word into a term of endearment? You know what I'm saying? Like to make the word ours, to flip it, to flip the meaning of it and make it ours to where it's no longer derogatory. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like it's more now we use it and it's a term of endearment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like so
And
it's
that's also,
easier to go ahead,
speaking on that, that's also how they flip the B word.
facts.
They do the same thing, you know,
Facts.
and now you got women calling themselves bees and you got them calling each other bees, and now it's their term of endearment, you
Facts.
know. And I mean, it's just kind of, it's just messed up. It's just really messed up. So even speaking, all right, so you have a daughter
Facts. Two.
and you have two daughters,
Yep.
Big Chloe
Yes, sir.
and Big Sally out here. Sally getting grown, first of all.
Man, what?
Man. But with, you know, raising your daughters in this time, what's some tips that you can give, or just your outlook on raising your daughters during this time where you got uh, the media and all this saying pop that and do all that, and then you know, you trying to give them the word and everything like that.
So to me, only thing I can find solace in is teaching them as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like teaching them as much, trying to teach them more than the world is teaching them, which is going to be next to impossible, but trying to deposit in them as much as I can. So when they go out into the world, they'll still hear my voice. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to teach that, because there's literally nothing we can do to protect our children from the world. Impossible, not gonna happen. Only thing you could do is put them in a dungeon and let them rot. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing you could do. You have no control over your children when they leave your home. You know what I'm saying? Like so when they in school, you don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't. So the only thing I can do is teach them as much as possible, early as possible, because it gets harder the older they get.
Yeah.
Teach them as much as possible early and as early as possible, and pray. You know what I'm saying? Like pray that's what influences them instead of the world, instead of social media, instead of, you know what I'm saying, all the things that's working against being a father, you know what I'm saying, or being a mother. That's the only thing that I can do. There's nothing else that you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like you can try all these methods, and a lot of people read all these magazines and these books and these different ways of parenting, and in reality, I look at it biblically. You train up a child in the way that they should go. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I stand on. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you train them up, the 9 times out of 10, that's how they gonna rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you just let them do what they like, if you don't have no effect on them early as possible, like if you don't insert yourself in their lives early as possible, then you're gonna let them get to an age where they start to develop their own personalities. You know what I'm saying? Like, and once that happens, I feel like it's harder to change their minds. It's easier to teach something before an opinion is formed than it is to change somebody's mind about how they feel about something.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Once people get stuck in their ways, then it's, you know what I'm saying, it's hard to make them change their mind.
Facts.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and that's all I can do.
That's good, bro. That's good. Like basically reaching them early, starting early, you know, and really teaching them values and things like that.
Yeah.
So I know you have heard somebody say, maybe a homie or somebody say, they don't want, I hope my daughter don't talk to somebody like me.
Facts.
You know, and it sound like you like what? Like they being real, you know, but it's like,
yep.
It's like, bro, why don't you choose to show your daughter something different? You know, because most of the time you end up dating somebody similar to your father.
Mhm.
You know, if you didn't, grow up. So for instance, like if your father has loved you and hugged you and all that, you're gonna find somebody that does that. You
Facts.
know, you gonna want somebody, for instance, my wife, dad spoil her. Like she a brat. So she'd be like, can you get this? Can you get that? Can you get that? So that's how when she came to me, that's how she was, Hey, and I had to, do that, because that's what she's accustomed to. I'm like, all right, yeah, I don't mind getting you this, getting you that, gifts and things like that.
Right.
But that was based off the fact that her dad had, always took care of certain things. So she looked at me like, all right, you're gonna take care of certain things,
Yeah.
So for instance, if you get for instance, so let's say you got somebody, let's say your dad in the streets or something like that, and you end up dating somebody in the streets, because you've seen your dad, so it's just normal to you. You like, all right, I need that,
Yeah.
So now you got women now, even though the dad said I don't want somebody, or even they get to a point where, have you ever heard somebody say, I'm a kill somebody, they do something to my daughter,
Mhm.
if they put my daughter in this
Yeah.
situation, and you like, you putting your daughter in this situation already. Like, no, what are you talking about?
Toxicity at its finest, man. Like, so and I've heard a lot of people say that. Like, and to me, I think it's selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like, for you to look, you know what I'm saying? For you to not want your daughter to date someone like yourself, and I mean like quality wise. I don't mean like look wise or you know what I'm saying, characteristics, stuff like that. But I mean qualities. You know what I'm saying? Like morals. That's what I mean. Like, you know what I'm saying? When most people mean when they say I would want my daughter to date someone like myself, that means they're going to care for you like I do. You know what I'm saying? That's going to provide like I do. That's going to protect, you know what I'm saying, like I do. And so for you to be like, oh, no, I don't want to date I don't want my daughter to date nobody like me. That's because all you're seeing is your flaws. You know what I'm saying? All you're seeing is the stuff. When they hear that sentence, like all they seeing is their flaws. Like, oh, you out here, you know what I'm saying, laying and slaying, and you don't want your daughter dating nobody like you because they gonna end up in the same situation you probably can put some woman through. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in knowing that, this is where I get to the point where it's selfish. In knowing that, you still don't decide to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still don't decide to change, even though there's a very good possibility that your daughter could go through the same thing that you probably put her mother through, or some, you know what I'm saying, like some other woman through. And knowing that, you still don't decide to change. That's the epitome of selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like only caring about self. Um, and in some twisted way, you care about your kid, but not to the extent where you should. You know what I'm saying? Like you care about them because you don't want them with somebody like you who you know yourself, and you like, oh, I'm a dirtbag, so I don't want you with nobody like me. I want you with somebody better than me. But instead of being the better, you want them to find somebody better, and the chances of that is slim. You know what I'm saying? Like the chances of that is slim, unless they have a disdain for you, unless they don't like you as a father, the chances of that are slim. So even if you have that toxic relationship where you love your, when this is what I see a lot of dudes, like, you know what I'm saying, the way I grew up, I see a lot of dudes that love their children. Don't get me wrong, they love their children, but the stuff that they show them confuses what love is. You know
Facts.
what I'm saying? So they provide for their kids, or you know what I'm saying, like they play with their kids, but then you show them how you treat women, or you show them how you treat people. You know what I'm saying? So all that's doing is creating a confused concept of love. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, they're going to go find somebody they still gonna find somebody like their daddy, because they're gonna think that's what love is. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna think that's okay. And then when you find somebody like your daddy, who's loving on you in one way, but in the other ways they're not so good at it, that starts to become toxic. You know what I'm saying? And there you go. You got a toxic relationship now. You know what I'm saying? Like just like the person you didn't want, just like when you didn't want your daughter to find somebody like you, or you didn't want your son to find some, however it works, you know what I'm saying? Like you just reproduce a toxic situation.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's like deep for real. Like but it's like a common thing, you know, it's a common saying that we hear, you know, in the hood. Like, I don't want my daughter to, you know, date somebody like, and it's just it's like you said, it's selfish. It's probably the most selfish thing ever, you know.
Yep.
It's the so with so how would you say we could change this, or like different things we can do to change the cycle that continues to happen, you know?
To be honest, I only think there's only one way to change. There's only one way to change a societal issue or a societal, you know what I'm saying, a problem or a generational problem, and that's starting with yourself. A lot of people will, okay, I want to change this, so they start messing with everything else except for themselves. Only way you can change it is starting with yourself. When people say you got to be the change to see the change, that is an underrated statement. Because in order for me to influence anybody, I have to represent it. You know what I'm saying? In order for me to change somebody's mindset, I have to represent it. So even with, say, if I say that I'm a man of God, I have to represent it. Because if I don't represent it, then that's just going to turn people away. That's going to turn people off of it. You know what I'm saying? So I can't run around saying I'm this or I'm saying I'm that and not represent it.
Yeah.
And people are not going to want to follow, you know what I'm saying, follow the change if they see that it's wishy-washy, if they see that it's hypocritical, if they see that, you know what I'm saying, they're not going to want to be a part of the change if they see that it's going nowhere, you know what I'm saying? So if I say I want to change something, if I say I want to change the world and don't start with myself, then all I'm going to look like is a person that's pointing the finger and trying to assign a bunch of things and not doing anything. You know,
yeah.
like, and that's gonna get you nowhere. And that goes with anything, you know what I'm saying? Anything that you want to see change in, you have to make sure you start with yourself.
Yeah.
And so as you know what I'm saying, like right now, if I would say that I'm representing what, you know what I'm saying, a good father should be, or along those lines, you know what I'm saying, striving to be, because it's never gonna be perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you're making strides to do so. And in that, you're showing, you know what I'm saying, you're showing that you're flawed, you're showing you have the ability to self-check and correct places where you're wrong at, you know what I'm saying, apologizing, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, like just stuff like that, showing that just shows growth, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to be the change versus talking about the change.
Yeah. That's real, you know. They say change starts within.
That's a fact.
And also I say like one big thing is the fact of, so society is demeaning women, and it's our job to uplift women, you know, uplift our wives, you know, because I don't know, by the time your wife become your wife, she has pretty sure dealt with that type of conditioning. You know, she has dealt with some type of insecurities based off men and different things like that. So you have to, you know, like I try to give my wife pep talks, you know, like if she let's say, because sometimes she had kind of not be too big on herself, you know, in a sense. And I'd be like, hold on, you could do that. What you talking about? Like,
Facts.
you a genius. Like, you know, you good at this. Like, what are you talking about? You know, and I just try to do different things like that, or even the fact of posting, you know, letting you know, okay, my wife is wonderful. Like, you know, so not for her, and then also for the people around you that see you are, you know, you love your wife, you know, you care for your wife, and it's kind of changing the narrative of, you know, of what they know, what they
Yeah.
seen, you know, and you make stuff that's now unpopular popular, you know.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I really rocked with Toad. Uh,
Facts.
you know what I'm saying? One of his catch lines is making purpose popular. Um and to me, up until now, um you didn't see anybody, especially with a platform like he is, and a following like he is, actually respecting, you know what I'm saying, giving honor to his wife, you know what I'm saying, honor to his family, rapping about it, and actually making purpose popular. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's the music or the type of music that he makes is typically music that wouldn't go crazy in the mainstream because it's not promoting an agenda of killing or violence or stuff like that in the black community, but it's more so promoting family unity. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
appreciating your wife, stuff like that. It's unheard of. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and the way he did it was so smooth. Um, Even back 3-4 years ago when I was watching, no, he just started off like, all right, I'm gonna kill these beats. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get these industry beats. You know what I'm saying? People going that's gonna catch people. It's okay. This is an industry beat, and then I'm gonna drop some dope visuals to it. Bam, that's gonna reel them in. You know what I'm saying? By the time people realize what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? At first, it just sounded like somebody that's rapping. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like he dope. A lot of people probably wasn't paying attention to a lot of the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? But by the time people realize, oh, this man saved. This man know God. This man respects his family. This man, you know what I'm saying, honors his wife, holds his wife to high esteem. Raps about protecting his wife. You know what I'm saying? Like by the time people realized that's what it was, they was already, you know what I'm saying? You were already caught.
Facts.
Hey, you can't deny it. You know what I'm saying? It's fire. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like on top of that, you respect the women. You know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that is why I can appreciate people like that. You know what I'm saying? And why he's one of my favorite artists. It's just it's things like that that really doesn't get a lot of attention until now. You wouldn't have heard no music like that 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that junk ain't selling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's not, people don't want to hear that. But the platforms that we have now in so many ways to get in people's face, it's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many ways to get in front of people and get your message out that you can't suppress that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so salutes to Dog for sure. Salutes to him for sure, because he's one of the very few. And when I say very few, like
Facts.
very few that doesn't objectify women, and you know what I'm saying, like holds them to high esteem,
And
stuff like that. So
that even like there's some rappers that are married.
no
Like
cap.
like I think 2 Chainz married.
2 Chainz is
Um
married. Papoose is married. I'm just thinking of popular couples actually right now. Actually, 2 Chainz not that popular, but Lil Wayne is in a relationship, been in a relationship for a while. I think Jeezy is either about to get married,
yeah,
engaged,
I know
stuff
he was
like that.
engaged.
Gucci Man is married.
Yeah.
Man, you name it, man. A lot of gangster rappers, a lot of, you know what I'm saying, like they're married. Ludacris is married. Like a lot of these people are married. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So when they get on, and not to say all of those artists do this, but they have done it at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? But they get on there and they objectify women. You know what I'm saying? They get on there and they disrespect women, and then they go home to their wife, and it's probably all love because they just sold you a bunch of crack. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
Like
what?
they just
What?
sold you
I
a
mean,
bunch of crack. They
like,
just made some music that you gonna bop to and subliminally live your life according to. That you don't
man,
even realize it yet. You know what I'm saying? But as much as you listen to it, you start to subconsciously, it starts to affect you.
that
I don't care what nobody says. When you listen to something so much, it starts to affect the way you think subconsciously.
facts.
You listen, I'm telling you listen to NWA for a whole year straight. 9 times out of 10, you know what I'm saying, your encounter with the police is not gonna be a good one.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And not
Facts.
and like I said, no slight to that, no slight to those people, but because I can't appreciate rapping about where you've been. You know what I'm saying? I can appreciate rapping about what you've been through, how you've grown up. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to stay in it means you're proud of it. You know, I mean,
Facts.
not proud of it, but and you should be proud of where you come from. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm to continue on means that you say nothing wrong with the things that was going on, or nothing wrong with the hood that you come from or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see an issue, which means you're okay with it staying the way it is.
Yeah, you're not helping the
Yeah,
situation.
you're part of the problem.
You continuing to make it worse. You know, like my thing is,
Yeah.
like I just feel like people just are doing what's popular. They don't want to like you're whole married. Why are you still speaking about this and do? I'm like that don't. To me, I'm like
Fabulous.
that. That don't make. I'm like to me. I like that don't make sense. Like I feel like you just doing with sales. Like you just trying to make money. Like all right, you found out what makes money, and now
that's the absolute truth. And again, it's another selfish thing, but it's one of those things where I have to provide for my family. I have to provide for the people that's around me. Don't necessarily care. I don't necessarily care about the bigger picture, and that's how a lot of people think. I don't necessarily care about anybody else's family. You know what I'm saying? Cardi B had even when it comes to WAP, not you know what I'm saying. I got a lot of respect for Cardi B because even when it came to WAP, she had you know what I'm saying. She had went live and she was saying that a lot of people, there's a lot of dope artists.
Keep going, bro. Hold on, I gotta grab my charger. Keep going.
I got you. But she was saying there was a lot of dope artists that are in music. A lot of dope women artists that rap about all type of stuff, current events. They rap about anything aside from women being objects. They rap about it, but they don't get no shine. You know what I'm saying? They don't get no type of looks. They don't get no type of love, especially in mainstream music. And she was saying that even when she dropped the song, you know what I'm saying, when she dropped the song that was more so on the current event or social issue side, I forget what the name of the song was, but she was saying even when she dropped the song that was on that, on that type of level, it didn't do the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't do the same numbers that all her other music did. You know what I'm saying? Because people like to hear docile stuff that they can relate to. You know what I'm saying? Like people like to hear stuff that applies to how their life looks right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to hear the conscious rap, or you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to hear that because it's not something that they can relate to right now.
Yeah. So
most people that are okay listen, most people that like that kind of music have gotten to that point. You know what I'm saying? Have gotten to that point where they, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to change my life. And so this is the stuff that appeals to me because I can relate to it. Everybody else is listening to the music, they can relate to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to listen to the club music because I'm in the club every weekend. You know what I'm saying? That's what appeals to me. That's the lifestyle I live. I'm going to listen to stripper music because I'm a stripper. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it. And it's to me, it's just most people don't care about they don't care about the bigger picture. Most people care about taking care of their own families, lining their own pockets. Most people are not thinking about the neighbors, the neighborhood, the community. Only time we think about the community is when it's a popular issue, something that's going on social media. So now I'm going to jump in there and act like I care. You know what I'm saying? Like when in reality, you don't really care for real. You know what I'm saying? Like I only care. I'm only, like you said, they follow the trend. You know what I'm saying? They follow the trend. Most people don't care. You know what I'm saying? 364 days out of the year, they don't care. The one day that's popping for the community, oh yeah, I'm out here, I'm donating money, I'm doing this, that, and the third, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's the same thing when it comes to women, when it comes to the topic. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't know. I mean, women okay with being objectified. They, you know what I'm saying? They profiting off of it. It's cool now. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I say you can only deal with self. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people go on rants, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people on this very topic, a lot of people go on rants, they talk about it till they blue in the face and then realize the only thing you could do is deal with self. The immediate people around you, your household. So in this house, you know what I'm saying? How the word say it's for me and my house. This is how we're gonna rock. We're gonna serve the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So as for this house, we're gonna respect women. This house, we're gonna respect people. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not gonna do people dirty. You know what I'm saying? That's for this house. We're gonna have some integrity. But I can't control what I tell Celeste this all the time. We can't control what nobody else do. No, you can control what you do. So don't come telling me what such and such what you do. You can't control people. You know what I'm saying? So like that's really all you can do. You know what I'm saying? Is deal with the people that are in your immediate vicinity, family, household, whatever the case is. Because that's 9 times out of 10, that's pretty much the influence that you have anyway. Unless you are some type of big platform, and now we're talking about a whole different thing. Because what you're doing with your platform, you know what I'm saying? Like besides lining your pockets.
Right.
So yeah.
It's not like they in a sense trapped, trapped by the people, trapped by the music that they made before. I feel like for instance, I feel like it's a choice, because in a sense I started some type of way, and I chose to get out of that lane and do God, music for God, so in a sense I was in a trap, but I chose, something different, and I was still able to use music, but I was able to do it in a different way. So even just speaking to, people that may feel like they trapped in what they used to do, or, what's cool, what other people deem cool, you can change. Like you can make what you're doing cool,
And you know what it is though? You know what's weird about it is that because I was definitely in that position too. Like I stopped doing music, you know what I'm saying, because I couldn't figure out how to be true in my music. You know what I'm saying? At a particular point, when you change your life, when your life do a whole 180, that means everything that's a part of your old life is no longer true. And so now it's going to be if I'm making music the same way I used to, but my life doesn't reflect it. Now I'm lying to myself. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like, and I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I've never been the type. If you heard a lyric from me, I've lived it. I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's true. It's true. There's no cap in my rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's when my lifestyle changed, my music changed eventually. That's why I can't see how people are, you know what I'm saying, you married with a family and you know what I'm saying, and a dog and a picket fence, and then you go out here like you in the streets
single, boy.
Like you selling bricks, and that junk is insane. But again,
no, you're not.
Again, people don't care people don't care about the effect of the music. They just care about the profit.
Facts.
This is what's gonna sell. You know what I'm saying? Like sex is at the top of the list. That junk gonna sell. You know what I'm saying? Like
sex and violence.
Sex is gonna sell. Violence is gonna sell. You know what I'm saying? Like that junk is at the top of the list. And the more and more we perpetuate it, the more and more we listen to it. Like it don't care what people say. The more and more that junk stream, and the more and more that's what people looking at. They looking at the numbers, the trends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like so, the more and more they stream, the more and more that's what they gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I forget dog name, but he did a TED talk and he was talking about just violence and things of that nature in the hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? Like he broke it down so cold. I wish I could.
You gotta send me that link.
Man, he broke it down so cold. He's a white guy. I just can't remember his name. Yeah, I think he happened to be a pastor too. But it was a TED talk, and I think it's been out for a few years actually. But he broke that junk down, even all the way down to how Rick Ross, you know what I'm saying, pretty much what he was saying was okay. It was okay to perpetuate violence and objectifying women and things of that nature, as long as society deemed it cool. Because he mentioned how Rick Ross dropped you know what I'm saying, put Molly all in her champagne. She didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? And he dropped that at a time where rape culture was not cool. And so Reebok dropped him like a bad habit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but but violence is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, rape culture not cool, so no, we gonna say something to him. But he rapping about shooting people and you know what I'm saying, and selling drugs, that's all cool. That's okay. But soon as he rap about drugging a woman, you know what I'm saying, in a time where it's not cool, has been a time where it's okay. Even if you think about it, I hear Drake rap about lyrics about taking, you know what I'm saying, popping perks and stuff like this, and same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, I took a half, she took a whole thing, slow down, like stuff like that. And I'm like, those are drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Rick Ross dropped the Molly in the champagne, and Reebok dropped it. Not saying that that's cool. I'm not saying that, but you got to pay attention to the trends, the societal norms. You know what I'm saying? Whatever society deems okay is okay.
Right.
But if it goes against the societal norms, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna have nobody backing you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, he had to deal with Reebok, and they dropped dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just stuff like that, man. Like, it's really, you really have to get a grip on self. You know what I'm saying? Like, even as you see society going one way, the Bible says narrow is the path to heaven. It pretty much says the path to hell is wide, boy, 4-lane, 6-lane freeway.
Facts.
But narrow is the path to heaven. Even if you see, like, even if you see people, all of society doing something, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is they doing, no, you gotta, man, no, I don't. To me, I don't rock like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what society is doing. If that junk is morally, in my judgment, morally incorrect, I'm not cool with it. Don't care what nobody talk about. Like, you'll see me argue with people all up and down. Like, I'll argue up and down. If that junk is morally weird, bro, like, no, I don't care what society say. That junk is weird.
Yeah. Can't move.
And I'm gonna stand on it. I'm gonna stand on it. I don't care what you talk about. I'm gonna stand on it.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, society now is just crazy. Like, all stuff that, this is even all stuff that used to be like frowned upon. It's just like not frowned. Like, people, for instance, drug addicts, like, people used to frown upon people that were addicted.
You get cooked if you was a crackhead or something.
But like now it's okay to be a crackhead.
Oh, like, no, niggas popping 10 perks. I mean, say niggas, but people popping perks left and right, taking Adderall, and you know what I'm saying, that was cool. Not to be a junkie is cool now. You know what I'm saying? Like, junkies are cool now. All you had to do is throw them in a little drip, you know what I'm saying, and now they cool. You a fresh, crispy junkie. Like, and that junk is okay now because society deems it okay. Taking all these drugs to cope is okay versus addressing your problems. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that we living in a weird time, bro.
Yeah, we definitely living in a weird time, but it's also, I mean, it's a good time to have some stand-up dudes that gonna stand up on the word no matter what, you know, and choose to go with God's agenda, you know, choose to listen to God and not listen to all the other stuff, you know, because even to this, for me, I have a hard time like listening to music, you know, certain music, because you got, man, it's so hard because there's not a lot of people in the lane that we're in at all. Like, you know, and then they also have to be something that I like as far as like talented in a sense. You know, it has to be a certain sound, and it's just hard, you know, when you got everything else and like the stuff that can feed your, you know, your spirit and stuff you will actually really enjoy.
Yeah,
it's hard to come by. You know, you like dang, you know, but you got all the other stuff. The other stuff like, just getting
like, I ain't even gonna hold you up. It's so hard to find music that I like. You know what I'm saying? That not even saying that I like, because to me music is a mood a lot of the times. But it is very hard to find music in the lane that I would prefer to listen to. So what happens a lot of times, you revert back to, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that you used to listen to. You go back because that's the stuff that you know that stuff, you know what I'm saying, it's a vibe. It's a vibe at times when you riding or whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you revert back to that, or you're listening to the radio and you just start to hear whatever's popular, you know what I'm saying, whatever's popping. So, and that's what happens to me a lot of times. I either ride in silence, or, you know what I'm saying, like, I end up listening to some old stuff. Even some of the new stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I like some of the new stuff, you know what I'm saying? I like some of the whatever, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the new music. I was listening to what was I listening to? I was listening to King Von as of late, you know what I'm saying, because he was trending or whatever the case for what happened. And so I'm like, all right, let me go check Dog out just to see what, you know what I'm saying. And aside from the content of his music, which was, you know what I'm saying, of course, the murder, drugs, violence, objectifying women, this, that, and the third, I could see through to the ability of him being able to tell a story.
Yeah.
which was impressive to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get a lot of artists now that can tell a story and make it rhyme. You know what I'm saying? And make it catchy and make it. You don't get that now.
Yeah.
You haven't heard. So you don't get that a lot now. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it was a lot of that was big. You know what I'm saying? That was Pac and some Fastest. That was definitely Nas, Cole with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get a lot of artists now that can do that. And he had a series of songs that told a story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would actually go as far as putting that as his, labeling him as that. You know what I'm saying? A storyteller.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his music is storytelling. But I mean, even though, you know what I'm saying, even through the content of his music, you know what I'm saying, his ability, the way he did music was impressive. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
but I don't have a lot of people in the lane that I like to, you know what I'm saying. You don't see a lot of Toby. You know what I'm saying? You don't see a lot of that. You don't see a lot of Bizzle. You don't see a lot of Jerry Sanders. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being able to not be corny, because that's one of my things. I can't stand corny music. Also have a positive message. And it's hard to do that because a lot of times positive and corny is like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a very
you gotta ride
close street, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times positive and corny is a very close, which is weird, but nonetheless it is. And so you don't get a lot of those. And, you know what I'm saying? After I've listened to them until I can't listen to them no more, then I just ride in silence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really listen to a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Even like what you was talking about, like listening King Von, like it be eat the meat, spit out the bones. Like, you know, you can gain, you might be able to gain certain things, like some type of, oh, that was kind of sweet. Let me, you know, try to incorporate let me incorporate this type of flow. Let me, you know, things like that. But like, it's like for those, you have to continue, you have to cipher through it, you know, because you don't want to take all of it, because now that might make you, you know, it's feeding your soul. So it can make you start tripping, you know, start doing certain things or whatever like that. But you get, for instance, told where I don't need to spit out the bones. I can digest all of it. You feel me? And it be that, you know, where, you know, you can feel comfortable listening and taking it all in and not having to, all right, let me cipher that. Let me throw that in the trash because I don't want that to change my mindset or anything like that.
And you know, one of the hardest things for me is that I 95% of the time I got my kids with me. And I like rap. You know what I'm saying? I listen to rap. 95% of music I listen to is rap. And so I definitely don't let them listen to. I'm gonna try as long as I can to shield them somewhat from industry music. I mean not industry music, but negative music if I can. Yeah. And so Toby is one of them people I can listen to with my kids in the car. They know a lot of his music verbatim. You know what I'm saying? Like word for word. You know what I'm saying? A bit like, so when I want to listen to rap, then I only have a very small list of people that I could, when I got I always got my kids with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be having them why, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then they go to school and they talk about WAP this and WAP that, and now they, you know what I'm saying? Now these people looking at me sideways.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, it's a challenge, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all around us. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to be respectful to women, trying to uphold some type of integrity, uphold some type of standard, especially when it comes to women. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to uphold that standard is difficult when everything is working against you. Everything is telling you, oh, these girls ain't loyal. These, you know what I'm saying? These, you know the word, you know the song, but you know what I'm saying? Everything is telling you, is pushing you in that direction. Don't trust them. Don't this, don't that. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest things that irks me when even when I encounter married people, men, you know what I'm saying? When I encounter them and I tell them, you know what I'm saying? And I tell them that I'm married and been married for such, and they make slight you know what I'm saying? Snide comments like, are you still happy? You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that is like, everything is working against you. Everything, even the married people, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all working against you. You know what I'm saying? If you got, and if you don't surround yourself with some people that's standing on what you standing on, bro, like, that junk is just, it's difficult. Like, it's almost like you gotta go in the crib and just stay in the crib, bro.
Man, what? Man, I went in hiding for a good minute. When I first got saved, I went in hiding.
Man, you got to, bro.
I said, I gotta go hide, figure this out.
It's all working against you, bro. Like, it's all working against you. You really have to have some deep rooted integrity, man. You have to have you gotta have the word deep rooted, you know what I'm saying? Like, and really stand on it. You gotta have some integrity and some morals about you. Because if you don't, man, that junk is anything that comes your way will be able to uproot you. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't really deep rooted on the stuff on what you know, then anything will be able to change your mind. You know what I'm saying? It'll be easy for you to change how you think about things, or for you to change what you standing on. So,
facts. All right, we ain't gonna keep y'all too long, so I stay at an hour. But bro, I appreciate you coming on here.
yeah.
I always know that you're gonna come with it. You gonna address the topics, you know. So I appreciate you. Make sure that y'all book a sesh.
Please.
Swiss Photography. My boy is an entrepreneur, black-owned business. And
please, I'm tired. I ain't got no job. I'm just a business owner.
Come on, man. So yeah, support. So this podcast is live right now. Shout out to everybody that tuned in and watched it. And it will be up Sunday. So I appreciate y'all for hopping on here and enjoying the Hope Medicines podcast. So we out of here.
Appreciate you for having me, brother.
No problem, bro.
Peace.